Commissioner Reed, sorry.
Wanted to thank the Community Center for allowing the Yellow Healthy Aging Alliance to hold its town hall on aging and long-term care and envisioning an age-friendly community. And last month, we had speakers from the county, Supervisor Villegas, and our own mayor, as well as Senator Pan, talking about various policies at each level of government. So appreciate the Community Center hosting us and the people who attended and provided input to the process. Thanks.
Okay. You have something to, let me see, Commissioner Johns?
Last month, I had the pleasure of attending the Active Aging Craft Fair across the street at the center there. And it was really neat to see a lot of people and what they made and the different crafts that were there. And I purchased some beanies, some warm hats, and was able to donate those to the West Sac Kids Give Back event that's going on right now. So I wanted to share that, but also plug the event for anybody listening. It's a really great thing that's going on in the community for the West Sac Kids Give Back. They're trying to put together 1,000 gift bags, essentially, with body wash and gloves and socks and beanies. They're going to have another drop-off event on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock from 9 to 1 at the Round Table Pizza in the town center. So they're still in need of body wash, gloves, socks, toothpaste, beanies, and toothbrushes. They seem to be low on toothpaste and gloves. So if anyone's available Sunday morning and they want to do something for the community, it's just a really great thing. They collect all these items, and then the kids together, I brought my kids with me to the event on a few Saturdays back. We drop them off, and then they get together and they have a big packaging event where they put each item into a gift bag, and then they hand those out to people in the community in need of those things. So it was a lot of fun. So it was kind of a win-win to grab some things from the Active Aging Center and donate them over to the community in that way. So that was a lot of fun.
That's fine, sorry. I just actually wanted to say thank you to Commissioner Sandoval here. He was a huge help in securing some live music for my kids' school at a Harvest Festival we had. And this is actually the poorest school in West Sacramento. It's Westfield, has a lot of homeless kids. So he helped me secure one of his friends who performed, didn't charge us anything, and it was wonderful, and it was great, and a great way to really felt like, it really helped us feel like a community. And so thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, next on the agenda, the consent agenda, we have consideration of approval of the minutes for October 1st, 2019. Before we proceed, I do see a typo on the end of the sheet where it says it was seconded by Eckler and absent was Commissioner Johns, who was here. So I'm assuming those need to be transposed there.
Yes, we actually need to go back and make adjustments to that, those two lines in the minutes based on those that were in attendance. So the second item is incorrect, and one of the I's is incorrect. So we just need to update that entire page of the minutes.
Okay, so do we do this at our next commission meeting too?
You can receive a motion to accept with modifications, and we can go back and make the correct changes based on our actual notes.
Okay, so to take the changes and to accept them,
I move that we adopt with the corrections.
with the correct changes, okay?
Just to clarify, the only changes are the motion, the people present for the motion, or did you say item 2 was also incorrect, entry number 2?
Commissioners Price and Eckler were absent, so we have to make adjustments to the other items there as well.
Okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Reed, we have a second?
I'll second it with the corrections.
Okay. And all those voting?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Okay, next on the agenda is regular agenda. Number 3, workshop on future grant funding opportunities by Relis.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm here this evening to provide a workshop on future grant funding opportunities. Since the passing of Prop 68, the California Drought, Water Parks, Climate, Coastal Protection, and Outdoor Access to All Act of 2018, there's been about $4.1 billion available to improve access to park spaces. The 2019 Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan points to the fact that our community is park poor and that there's a distinct desire to expand our trail network. 2 programs that are currently available and potentially a good match for a few city projects with union funding are the Delta Conservancy Community and Economic Enhancement Program and the California State's California State's Parks Division of Boating and Waterway Recreational Boating Facility Public Access Grant Program. They're 2 completely different programs. The Delta Conservancy program is through Prop 68. The Community Economic Enhancement Program, which is through the Delta Conservancy, it focuses on recreation and tourism, historic and cultural preservation, and environmental education. It also wants to focus projects that increase public recreational access to the Delta and benefits the Delta economy. Eligible projects are things like public boat docks, recreational trails, community parks, visitor centers, the renovation of historic buildings. It particularly calls out for the reuse of the levee system, using it for a recreational purpose. So when we're looking at eligible projects, we also had to look at things like project readiness, how they align with the program priorities, and then funding needs. So what we really wanted to do was look at the Clarksburg Branch Line Trail and the Southport Setback Levee Trail. We have completed applications for other programs, but this program might also be a really good fit, and just in case the other ones don't stick, we figured we'd give it a shot here as well. They both have environmental, we have robust narratives already done, so I think it should be a slam dunk. The Clarksburg Branch Line Trail, of course, is going to provide the 2.2 miles of the Class 1 bike trail. It's going to provide lighting, landscaping, some sidewalk improvements along Linden Road. The Southport Levee Recreational Trail will provide 5.6 miles of the Class 1 bike trail and will provide an immediate connection with the waterfront and the setback areas. The Clarksburg Branch Line Trail, we have it pegged at about $4 million, just under, and the Southport Levee Trail is probably going to be just under $2 million. The overall program has about $12 million, and it's non-competitive. I don't know how that works, but it's a kind of a first come, first serve. I've been to a workshop. It goes live on January 6th. We don't know what any of the questions are, but basically we're just going to get in there as fast as we can and get them submitted. The Department of Boating and Waterway program is for improving public recreational boating access. We felt that the Barge Canal Trail improvements kind of really opened up that space, and the boat launch facility there is in need of some TLC. So it is eligible for funding. The awards are generally between $50,000 and $500,000. The program, the eligible elements are things like ADA access improvements, restrooms, actual boat launch facilities. What else? I think we have permitting, signage, security lighting, vehicle charging stations. Right now, I think we want to go for the bare minimum, which is a replacement of the 20 foot by 100 foot concrete walk-in boat launch with precast panels or concrete mats. And the estimate that we got is about $498,000 for that. The large projects were selected based on program eligibility, funding needs, project readiness, and have all been identified in the 2019 Parks and Recreation and Open Space Master Plan. Submitting these grants applications aligns with the city's 2019 Strategic Plan Management High Priority Items, Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan implementation. And that's the end of my presentation. Do I have any questions?
Commissioner Johns?
I'm talkative tonight, huh? The grant is for improvements only to boat ramps?
Well, there's multiple programs that DBOT has. There is the rehab and restoration program, but it has to have been funded initially with the same program, and it wasn't. The port probably installed it like eons ago. I don't even know how long ago. So we don't really know how the initial one was funded. So we have to go through the new program. And we've actually been in direct contact with DBA, and they're really excited about it.
But I mean, the grant wouldn't apply to adding more boat ramps to like the riverside or?
We could, I think adding anything besides what we have already, like the footprint that's currently there, would be a permitting, environmental, the project readiness wouldn't be there. I mean, we'd have to go through a lot of hoops. So maybe for the next round, of course. Actually, he's really interested, the program guy wants one closer to Lake Washington, because he actually fishes there. So, down the line, yeah, maybe for the next round, but in terms of this cycle, the applications are due, I want to say February 3rd or February 6th.
There's actually, I mean, there's a ramp within the port itself, but it's only accessible through the Washington Outboard Club.
They're separate.
Right, so it's totally separate. So I'm actually talking about the Sacramento River, not the Deep Ship Channel. I was curious if this grant would apply to new development of additional boat ramps on the Sacramento River side.
Yes, possibly. I think part of the beauty of this site is that the jurisdiction is a little different. The minute you get in the Sacramento River, you're dealing with the federal agencies. This one, as of right now, is technically not part of the federal levy system. It's probably just working through Central Valley Flood, which makes it a lot quicker.
No, I mean, it's a great site because it's heavily accessed. I see people there all the time. So, I mean, it's a perfect location. It's just more of a question if it was possible, and I know it would probably be quite a bit more to develop a whole new ramp further south than the Broderick ramp.
Well, no, see, and I honestly want to go after the Broderick boat ramp to improve that. It's going to be eligible in the next couple of years, but we also have a state lands lease, so we have to amend to update it, so we have the site control that we need. So that's definitely on our radar to make those improvements. In terms of a whole new boat launch, that would be a big undertaking.
I imagine it would. Like I said, it was more of a question, just
Okay.
out of curiosity, if this is something that's eligible for that or not, or if it had to just be improvements of existing ramps.
No, it's all, for all new ones. It's just we have to, have the permits and the site control and the environmental and everything in place. I mean, the dock was a nightmare. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any other commissioners would like to speak? Okay. All right, let's continue on. I'd like to recognize the presence of Chair Price. I'd like to hand over the gavel to Chair Price.
You're perfectly capable to continue leading the meeting. Sorry for my tardiness. It's a little messy out there.
Okay, under your direction, I'll continue. Next is the workshop on proposed West Sacramento Safe at Home program. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Erin Davis. I am here to provide a workshop on the West Sacramento Safe at Home program. In 2015, the City Council supported the city membership in the AARP network of age-friendly communities. Members of the network are encouraged and asked to adopt an age-friendly action plan, and in 2017, the City Council approved the city's first age-friendly action plan. A statistically valid survey that preceded the adoption of the age-friendly action plan showed that 91% of over the age of 45, agreed. Right, where that number came from, that it was important to stay in your homes as you age. Older residents can live independently in their homes with some minor modifications. Most of the minor modifications, such as grab bars and no-slip bath mats, are not too expensive, but many may not be affordable to some of our lower-income residents. And until 2012, the city had a housing rehab program that funded some of these improvements. The program became overly cumbersome and was discontinued. Currently, the city has nothing in place to help low-income seniors finance home modifications to allow them to stay in their homes longer. The Age-Friendly Action Plan points to staff seeking grant funding for home modifications, and grant funding is limited. I looked, and if not non-existent, it's really hard to find grant funding. So staff instead explored some options of possibly partnering with other local organizations to help keep our seniors safe at home. And staff identified Rebuilding Together in Sacramento that runs a program called Safe at Home, which offers in-home accessibility assessments and home safety modifications for individuals, families, and caregivers who want to improve the accessibility, reduce falls, and increase independence in the home. One of the biggest Rebuilding Together issues that Rebuilding Together has has been obtaining funding. They had a relationship actually with the city before. I know Christine Prater and Connie Leak had worked with them before. They actually made some improvements to the old senior center on, is it Cummins? But I know that both Christine and Connie have reached out to them later, and they wanted to help but didn't have the funding. So, we talked internally and realized that maybe being our own grant source would be a good option, so that we could have a continual, funding source, so that we could actually have a program that had, continual funding. So the pilot program that the city proposes would be funded using $30,000 of Measure E, which would allow us to help a relatively large number. I think we spoke with Rebuilding Together, and they had said that the modifications were about $300 to $500 a piece for some of these smaller modifications. And the Rebuilding Together and the city staff would work together to develop a free service to low-income seniors in West Sacramento, providing accessibility assessments and home modifications. And then together we'd work on a selection criteria. The program would be marketed through the senior center, through the age-friendly newsletter, word of mouth, thought of maybe even handing out some flyers with first responders. Also, maybe at the senior resource, I know they have a resource center there, but also the resource fair, and then communicating with our partners in our age-friendly community. City staff would assist the program applicants in completing their applications. Rebuilding Together would actually screen them. They would schedule in-home assessments, the improvements, and then basically send us a bill. The proposed pilot program functions as an implementation of the Age-Friendly Action Plan, and the use of Measure E to fund the program aligns with the intent of Measure E, which is age-friendly ventures, is listed as a primary priority in the Measure E Universal Policy Document, and ongoing age-friendly programmatic expenses are listed as a secondary priority. So that is the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions? Suzanne?
Commissioner Reed?
So, at the risk of repeating myself. So again, congratulations, you guys are on it in terms of finding innovative and creative ways to provide the services for our city seniors. One of the themes of my comments continuously is to begin to connect programs to each other in order to construct a more holistic approach to aging in place. And so the other half of this equation, when you're talking about home modification, is actually there's three prongs. So the other half is fall prevention, because that's what the home modifications are for. They're to have these experts from the nonprofit would go in and basically assess the home. There are standard checklists that you go through, and you're also not only installing devices, but you're also looking to see if they're using scatter rugs and if they're well lit enough, and what the lighting is like, so people can see well enough so they're not tripping over things. If all the electrical cords have been wrapped in a way that keeps them out of being a trip hazard. So I'm hoping, and I know that we're going to redo and update the age-friendly plan, and that as we do that we can begin to look at ways that we can connect our programs at the Recreation Center for fall prevention and the various other partnerships that we can form to help people not only modify their homes in a way that makes them safer, but also improve their balance and their physical capacity, and become aware of ways that the home can be modified. It could be as simple as using lever handles instead of doorknobs that you have to twist because of the difference in the mechanism that you have to use. Some of the basic modifications that they're talking about here are, grab bars and those kinds of things, which are important. But there's a whole host of other activities, and so I'm hoping that this will be a foundation of a program that could expand over time. To be more inclusive of not only home modifications, but also assistive technology and help people remain in their homes. Insofar as the communications, I really liked what you said about the outreach that we're planning. And again, along the lines of the theme that I constantly strike is being sure that we're able to reach the people that don't necessarily access the internet in order to receive information about our programs. I was contacted by Charlotte Dorsey of BB Can. She's also a member of the California Senior Legislature. And she offered her crew of volunteers. She's really good at pulling people together to distribute flyers to the various venues that are frequented by not only seniors, but their caregivers, and also working, as you noted, working with the community center and the rec center and the first responders, because they're the ones that have to get there if the person falls, right? So they should have an interest in whatever billing inserts or whatever that can be used to reach people in their homes or in the places that they frequent. So I promised her I would raise that and hope that you'll take her up on that offer. I might also suggest, in addition, letting our neighborhood watch captains know about the program. I know some neighborhood watches are more active than others, but in terms of beginning to establish some kind of a neighborhood network that works not only for passing along information of this nature, but also as we get into emergency planning, understanding where the vulnerable people in our community live, and what homes they're occupying, and being able to check on them, later if you haven't seen somebody picking up their mail or out and about, whatever, being aware that someone may have fallen in their home if they're living alone. So those are my comments, and I, again, appreciate you guys' work doing the best you can with the minimal resources that we have and trying to pull in extra resources to the city's programs.
Well, I think our hope too is we have things that we're doing for fall prevention now, but actually putting a label on it. So, having the Save at Home program, maybe having a healthy eating, maximizing our vitamin D,
Right.
I mean, I looked through documents you sent me too, and that we may be able to get a health and wellness component there as well. But just to, I think we have a fall prevention program, the basis, but it needs a label and needs to be identified, and then maybe have a champion or two.
Exactly, and what I've been said in my conversations with other of our leadership in city government is we're doing all the right things. It's just that we don't have a narrative constructed that kind of pulls that together and says this is all part of a larger program for healthy aging and remaining in your home, and it has many components to it, and here's how you access each of these. And as you mentioned, nutrition is a huge part of that, because when you're isolated, and social connection, obviously, because when you're isolated, you tend not to eat well. And so I appreciate that, and I appreciate all the work you do.
Thank you. And maybe we could even incorporate into the age-friendly action plan update by labeling it. That's definitely on my radar.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Johns?
A couple of comments and then a couple of questions. I think you mentioned first responders, getting them some sort of flyer or access to the program. I think that would be a key component. In my experience, first responders, at least from the fire service side, they'll do what's called a lift assist. It's pretty common, where the patient isn't injured, they just need help getting up. It happens a lot in the middle of the night. And so that would be a great way to connect somebody immediately in need. And usually it's somebody who falls frequently. It could be, a couple times a day, it could be, maybe once a week. And just simply providing them with a lift bar or a couple of tools just to make things a little bit easier on their life would not only help them, but it would also help the first responders in freeing up those resources within our city if there's a more major event, maybe somebody's injured or a fire or something like that. So I think that would be a key component to this, is connecting people who regularly see people in need as part of their job and their service to the community, and being able to advise them of hey, this resource is available to you, and giving them a card or a flyer or something that they can keep on the engines and the ambulances I think would be a fantastic idea.
Yeah, the city of Elk Grove has they have something with the Consumnes Fire District, and they partner with Rebuilding Together. I wasn't sure, I'd kind of like to reach out to them to find out, because I wasn't sure if it was some sort of violation, if we need to just give them a flyer, or if, getting their contact information so we reach out to them. I wasn't sure if that was too invasive, so I would like to reach out to the Consumnes Fire District to find out exactly what their mechanism is for getting them the information.
Yeah, I think obtaining or sharing their personal information might be a HIPAA,
Yeah.
might be kind of into that realm. But I think there's nothing wrong with just handing them, an informational resource for them to contact the city or the, the organization that could provide them with assistance. I think that would be a fantastic route. You mentioned that a third party is going to be doing the selection of who's eligible, so somebody can apply, and then a third party would do the evaluation of the applicant and bill the city, is that right?
Yeah, it's Rebuilding Together. They said it's, I'm not gonna say plug and play, but they come in and they work with us together to have some requirements, whatever, to qualify for the program. They said they do the screening. So if they come in and have me help the applicant fill out their form, get them the tax information or whatever they need for income, evidence, we can give it to Rebuilding Together. They'll review the applications, and then they do all the scheduling. So it makes it a lot less labor intensive on our end. They actually will run the program.
They'll do the installations as well?
Everything.
Perfect. That was my next question.
Yes, I know. So there's no liability on our side. That's what makes it so beautiful.
Yeah. So fantastic work on this. I'm with Commissioner Reed here. This is another innovative way to serve the community. I think it's great.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Horwitz?
So great comments, everybody. I'm a little upset that I have to follow you two. So I have worked with not Rebuilding Together Sacramento, but Rebuilding Together Oakland on a project years and years ago, where they brought in lots of volunteers to come into a high-need community and just try to help build the house up to make it more attractive and safer for the residents living there who wouldn't be able to afford it otherwise. So I love the organization. I'm really excited to hear that we have a partnership opportunity with them. My only question is actually on the logistical side, because that's where my brain tends to go. So we've identified an estimate of $30,000 that we'd be able to put aside from Prop E for funding. But I'm not sure if you have the information about how many people we think might actually need these services, and whether that amount of money will cover all the expected need, and maybe how much the ongoing cost would be.
I think this is going to be our pilot program, so we're going to see what the need is, to see if they blow through it in 6 months, or if it's, not well received. Because what we're hoping is that the city council, city manager will realize that this is a well-received, program. I would like to be able to offer them ramps. I mean, those are really expensive, so we may need that kind of funding, and maybe, and also expanding on our fall prevention program. Commissioner Reed has sent out that grant program, which is not eligible for the the Westside Safe at Home. It's for some additional programming, which is pre-approved evidence-based fall prevention programs, which we could look for as in the future to expand our fall prevention program. But I think we're planning on doing is just seeing how well this is received, and then hopefully if it's they highly utilized, and we do some good, that the next round will have some more funding, maybe a different pot of money. But we're just kind of waiting to see how this first round goes.
Commissioner Price?
I think, Sasha, in the notes, it was talking about the Rebuilding Together estimated about $600 per home, 30,000, so 50 people. So if that's a good pilot program, that'll give us a good sense of, if there's 150 people apply for 50 spots, that's going to be a signal that we need to do more.
Right.
Or evaluate what we need to do. And if 10 people respond for 50 grants, then obviously that doesn't look as good. So it's just figuring out what, maybe then we were able to spend more on different projects and see if we need to continue that. But I think it's great that everything's lined out and partners in place to evaluate the need and provide the services, and the funding's in place through Measure E. So it sounds like one of those ones that everything looks great. Keep going.
Thank you.
Yeah, Commissioner Reed?
Yeah, I was just going to add that some of this is we're back to chicken and egg on education and awareness, because people aren't necessarily aware of what they can do to their homes to make them safer. And that's why I say, connecting with the caregivers and the families is also an important aspect of it. And then hopefully, again, through the age-friendly planning process, some of that will incorporate some, education and awareness in terms of what people can do to remain in their homes, because the consequences and the data on the consequences are, this is one area where you could make a big difference in reducing the number of people who end up in emergency rooms, rehabilitation centers, or permanently even in a nursing home as a result of falls. And then the other aspect of falls is even if they do come home, they tend to be less likely to remain mobile because they're afraid of falling again, and so there's a higher risk of isolation. So it's got a domino effect through the community. So I think if we can, as we expand our program to be more holistic and include an education and awareness component, that it would be really helpful in terms of building demand for the services that are being offered. So.
Commissioner Johns?
I just had a follow-up idea as my brain's kind of churning, and it's more of a general question, I think, just out of ignorance, but what are the possibilities for outside fundraising to augment funds for a program like this? So if we're doing a kickoff pilot program, and we do find, as in Commissioner Price pointed out, 150 applicants, how does outside fundraising, is that possible to connect private funding with a city-based grant and put the two together to fund more homes? Is that, and that's more, and it's a general question because those are the kind of things I think about with other grants and other programs. Is that even a possibility in these cases?
It's our grant, man, right? We can do what we want, isn't it? Technically?
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
Excellent question. We're always looking for opportunities to leverage resources. To accept funding from private donors, we need to have a formal process in order to receive those funds. It could be used through an existing agency that exists or an organization in the city that's willing to take this on and receive donations for this particular effort. So there's a way to do it. I don't know that we have something set up today that would allow us to do that, but there certainly are a lot of different options to explore a kind of partnership that would allow for private funding to help support a program.
Yeah, I think I would recommend that we maybe look into how that would work, because in this case, it seems perfect where you have a third party that's willing to do the evaluations and the installations and then essentially build a city. Well, if a third party is willing to donate or collect an additional $10,000 and just say, here, pay the bills, but I don't know how legally that works and what sort of attachments the city has to that. So, it might be worth exploring and at least opening up that avenue for not just this program, but maybe future ones as well.
Is that something where the fundraising organization could pay Rebuilding Together directly and stay away from what the city funding part of it? So you're not giving the city money, but you're still enhancing Rebuilding Together's ability to do more work, but not sending money to the city to give to the place. Don't make the city a
Yeah, I don't know how that would
financing
work.
agency.
I know how it works. I know how it works. So typically when a government agency that is wanting to take advantage of private partnership, either with the donation of in-kind services or finances, they find an agent. An agent is typically a nonprofit organization that you have an agreement with them to be the agent for the collection of private funds. So an example here would be Home Depot has a community foundation, right? And they might grant money specifically to rebuild, to serve the residents of West Sacramento with the kinds of services that we're also giving them to do the same thing. And, it could be structured into the same program. So that's one avenue that kind of effort can take on. But it's through a third-party agent that's a nonprofit organization. It has a capacity.
Rebuilding Together couldn't do it through them?
Yeah, exactly. If they're,
If they had, if we have West Sac Save at Home as our program, that we.
you have a program structured, and then you also, in addition to whatever contractual arrangement you have for them to receive funding for you, you have another that says an agreement that they are the agent for collecting private funds that would serve West Sacramento.
So if like BB Can did a bake-off or something, or this,
We have a similar situation with West Sac Play.
Right.
They raise funding for the city to contribute towards stage structures in the city. So they are raising money, and in this case, they're providing the funds directly to the city, but it's for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
So I think there are
It's
a lot
possible.
of different opportunities out there, but we can't point to one right now that would serve as that
Conduit.
intermediate organization.
Well, and I think you're in a position now where you want to get your pilot up and running and, get the kinks out of it and see how it works and, and then talk about expanding as your experience is gathered, so.
well, if there's a chance to use the funding besides Measure E too, I mean, that may also, I guess, come to be that we are able to find another funding source besides Measure E. We keep looking.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Thank you, Ms. Rivas, for your report. Really appreciate it. Next on the agenda is agenda number 5, consideration of Resolution 19-2, setting the time and date for the 2020 regular meetings of the Parks, Recreation, and Intergenerational Services Commission. Would anyone like to entertain a motion?
Or offer one?
Okay. Or
I
offer
move
one,
it.
yes. So, motion received by Commissioner Reed. Second, anyone? By Commissioner Price would like to second. And, shall we all vote? Yes?
Can we just state what the date and times are going
Sure.
to be? So
The
we're all
dates
clear?
and- The dates and times. 1 second.
I assume they're the same as they were this year?
Yes, they're the even.
Not 5:30, right?
Today was a special.
I apologize to everyone I thought I was 5 minutes early.
I almost did the same thing.
So the commission meetings will be in 2020 at 6 PM on April 7th, June 2nd, August 4th, October 6th, December 1st, and February 2nd of 2021. Okay? Okay, so, you have a question?
So the first meeting of the year is in April?
I had the same question.
The first meeting was adopted at the last
okay.
meeting of last year,
Oh,
which
so
will
it's like this one,
be,
okay.
that will be February 4th at 6
Okay.
PM.
It'll be the last one for them.
So it's basically the same schedule as this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, shall we take a,
So you say all in favor, say aye.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Okay. Next on the agenda is Director's Report.
Thank you. I have a lot to report on this evening. First, I wanted to just share that, as you are aware, we submitted 3 applications for the Prop 68 statewide park and community revitalization program. Those 3 applications were for the public plaza in the Bridge District, West Acre Park expansion and renovation, and then also a new neighborhood park at the Fallbrook campus, where Westmore Oaks School is relocating to next year. And on November 6th, we had site visits with state park staff representatives, and we spent almost half a day visiting all 3 sites. The site visits went very well, and they informed us that they're hoping to make award announcements in January. So by our next meeting, hopefully, we will have some good news about some new projects coming online. I also mentioned at the last commission meeting that although Bright Park was not eligible for that particular Prop 68 program, we were still pursuing other grant program opportunities to help fund the continued implementation of the Bright Park Master Plan. And in doing this, we identified a need to consider some refinements to the original master plan that consider a number of a number of items. First is that we've made improvements to date that need to be reflected on the master plan. The improvements made to date, like the Kaboom play area and the new restrooms and covered picnic areas, the sports courts, the parking, don't align exactly with the original master plan, so we need to make some refinements there. We also know that Washington Unified School District is gearing up with a new facilities master plan that may impact the Bright and Alice Norman portion of the whole Bright Park complex. We have ADA improvements as a city that we're required to meet by 2025, and you always want to try to make those improvements in conjunction with other recreation improvements if possible for efficiency purposes. And then we also know that since the plan was originally adopted, we have seen significant increases in construction costs. And we really need to revisit the cost estimates for the plan so that when we're going after grant funding, we have a much higher level of confidence that the funding we're asking for is actually going to accomplish the improvements that we're targeting. So, and then additionally, as we're considering some refinements, we would like to explore opportunities that help make phasing improvements a little easier. Right now, the way that some improvements are planned on the site, they limit phasing opportunities without significantly impacting programming. So you'd be completely eliminating some programming at the expense of building improvements for another area of programming. So we've been working with a consultant to start exploring ways that we might make some refinements to the site. We thought we'd be gearing up for that effort really last month. We're not quite there yet, but we have been invited to speak at BB next week. They're having a meeting on Tuesday evening, 5:30, just to begin talking about the process. They were very involved in the community engagement effort for the original master plan. We want to keep them involved as part of this process. So you're all welcome to attend that meeting. It will be at the 664 Cummins Way location, which is the Yolo County Senior Residences, where they typically hold their meetings. And then we hope to use this commission as a forum for some workshops that will look at potential refinements and provide an opportunity for feedback. I wanted to update you on some projects that are currently underway. The docks project is the first one. All pile driving for the project's been completed. The contractor's now focused on landside improvements, which will be completed between now and early January, when the access ramps will be delivered and installed. The floating dock will be fabricated over the next few months and delivered via barge for installation that's currently estimated in May of 2020. You may have seen Heritage Oaks Ropes course at the park site is under construction. They're hoping to have kind of a soft opening towards the end of December with some very limited hours just to start making the community aware of the improvements while the balance of the site improvements are underway. So as soon as we have more information on that, we'll certainly share it with the commission so you can share it also with your friends and family in the community. Memorial Park is looking fantastic. If you haven't been by lately, I encourage you to drive by. We have the dugouts are almost complete, and with all of the rain recently, we've been able to test out all the drainage improvements, and they are working very, very well. So we're happy about that. They're pouring concrete right now, and the rain is causing a few delays. They've got a few more days worth of pouring to do, but all of the building structures, the concession building, restroom, are going to be delivered this month. So hopefully those will be installed, if not by the end of December, in early January. And then we've got some really exciting events coming up. So the first is our community tree lighting event, which is taking place on Friday, December 6th, here from 6 to 9 p.m., rain or shine. In addition, we partner with the Chamber of Commerce to put on this event. It's free, and in addition to the actual tree lighting, you can enjoy coffee and hot cocoa, cookies, and snacks for kids, live local music performances. There will be a lot of kids' activities, some holiday shopping, and free pictures with Santa. So no, you don't need to register, you just show up. If it rains, we'll be moving most of the activities inside. If it doesn't rain, everything will be outside in front of City Hall. I believe the pictures with Santa will still be indoors, though. We also have Christmas basket signups. So the West Sacramento Christmas Basket Project is a nonprofit organization that strives to provide meals to 500 families each year. This has been a program that's been around for, I think, 3 decades now in the community. We help to promote this effort by offering the community center as a sign-up location, and some of our city staff actually volunteer to deliver baskets to families. If you know of anybody that you think is in need of a food basket, which is, it's really an opportunity to provide people who can benefit from a healthy meal during the holiday season, please direct them to the signups at the community center. If they're not able to go to the community center, you can also reach out to us so that we can provide assistance. As of today, we have over 300 individuals and families signed up for a basket. Tonight, actually, right after this commission meeting, which is why we moved it up 30 minutes, River City High School Music Boosters is hosting a free community concert for the holidays. It's called Giving Tunes Day, and we hope you can stay for a bit afterwards to enjoy the music. We have on Friday, December 20th, our Recreation Center Maintenance Day, so the rec center will be closed for major maintenance work, including deep cleanings, painting, installation of new photos throughout the facility. And in addition to that major maintenance day, we also have another really exciting project taking place at the rec center. I'm going to ask Paul to pass out the flyers, but we were fortunate enough to receive a grant from the Kings and Kaiser to refurbish the basketball court at the rec center. That refurbishment will be taking place in late December, early January, and we would like to invite you to a ribbon cutting ceremony that's going to take place on Saturday, January 11th. That's in conjunction with a junior MBA clinic, and we will have a guest appearance made by a Sacramento Kings player. We'll have more information to share with you a little bit closer to the date, but wanted to make sure you at least had the flyer as a take-home reminder. And then also just a reminder that City Hall and some of our other city facilities, including the community center, will be closed between Christmas and New Year's Day. And on behalf of the Parks and Recreation team, we'd like to wish you a wonderful holiday season, and we look forward to working with you in 2020. That concludes my update.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is a future item request by commissioners. Commissioner Reed?
When the staff is ready, I'd appreciate a briefing on how we're going forward with the update on the age-friendly community plan. Even though it sounds a little bit out of our bailiwick, I'm also interested in the update to the climate action plan, since sustainability and resilience do interact with our intergenerational services and our parks and recreation facilities. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone like to motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Commissioner Reed motions and Commissioner Horwitz seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Hey, good job.